Right, I'm gonna wait for a few more people to join in before I start talking about a couple of ideas, a couple of things that I'm seeing. What's up, Society Customs? Hey, 4 people. Looks like there's a little bit of a bounce going on here, which is cool. Well, I may as well just get into it. People can always rewind it if they want to catch the start. So I'm going to start by going, let's go weekly chart. I just want to see if there's like any major failure to Bitcoin's like market structure on the weekly chart, and arguably there's not. We're still intact right here. So this is for me, this is the last line of like defense from a weekly perspective, is this 74,500. I'll put it in yellow. Let me just hide these other lines just to make it clearer. So if I was to get a zigzag line, you've got high, low, high, low, high, low, high, and now we've got a pullback. A low is potentially trying to establish itself, and then we need to see if we can continue up. Now let's just keep this here. This is like a hypothetical bounce point. Now it's one thing to bounce to make a higher low, but it's another thing to break structure to the upside, so to get a brand new all-time high. And one thing that I'll show you that might get in the way as we try to like head back up into what this bull market is, like, and it has been a bull market for sure. Let me just grab the EMAs or even the moving averages, just the simple moving averages. Just going to turn off a couple of lines here, this one and this one, so you can see better. Okay. And I'm going to jump back to the daily chart. You can see we've got that daily death cross situation, which doesn't always have to mean that it's over, right? I mean, we had one back here as well. We death crossed and then got a really sharp reversal, like a V-shaped recovery. So for the bulls, that's what they're looking for. We're looking for a V-shaped recovery to turn everything back on. So it's possible, but we have to, seeing is believing, right? Now, check out how deep we are on the price action below the 200 simple moving average on the daily chart here. So you can see lost it, reclaimed it, lost it, reclaimed it, right? Look how deep we are under it this time. It's like a fair ways down off that moving average. And can you see like the moving average is starting to curl a little bit, starting to potentially suggest that you know, it's pivoted. But the only thing that can really save it is the price, of course. If the price does something like that, then this will curve back up, you know, gradually with the price. But when you get price action come up and get in contact with that moving average, let's say it happens over here. I'll make that last bit blue. If that is to happen and get rejected by it, you know, if you get rejected by the 200, that's called a kiss of death. And that is kind of what happened in the last cycle, right over here. See that? So we got below it. It took some time to grind back up and have another attempt at it. But once it got rejected by it, that was, the writing was on the wall then. It was confirmation of a bear market or a downtrend. Some people don't like the whole bull market, bear market terminology, but I mean, I guess it kind of helps to describe the macro direction. By the way, anticipating a bear market doesn't mean that you don't like Bitcoin, or that you think that it's going to zero, or that you think that, you know, that there's no opportunity in it. From my perspective, it's quite the opposite. I'm actually looking forward to building back into it. I've already begun building back into Bitcoin, by the way, just lightly, but the idea is, where did I get in? Like 90,400. I'd put a buy down here. If this does continue to fall, I'll continue to chip in every week and just keep dollar cost averaging if price was to fall. Now, if price rises, and I've already done like a bit of a buy here, price rises and continue to rise up, you know, I can let that position ride, that initial buy, and then let's say it rejects off here and it proves that it's rejecting and it's getting difficult. I could sell that first little dollar cost average and then, you know, rebuy lower. It's a bit of a gamble, like it's a bit of a risk to take that, because you don't know if the price bounces here after getting rejected and then gets through it later on. That means you have to rebuy this position higher. So that's the risk side of things. So if you don't want to risk it, just hold it. I mean, especially if you're on spot, if you're just accumulating it and you're willing to sit on it long term, then that's not a problem at all, in my opinion. Not financial advice. This is all just opinion, of course. Kind of what I'm doing. But yeah, I'm still out of my original Bitcoin longs from the bull market. I've already taken profit, you know, back in this location here, just above 100,000. So buying it all back just after one push down and putting it all back in because I think that it's gonna like rocket, that would be another, like I say, another risk. But you know, everything's risk. No matter what you do in crypto, it's all risk. But anyway, now I think we're approaching, yes, it's a Monday morning in Australia, which means we're approaching the weekly close on the candles. Let me just get a weekly chart open. I'm gonna hide the 200. I'm just gonna focus on the 50. So 3.5 hours left to get this candle to do a pretty spectacular move to come and reclaim the 50. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but who knows? We could pivot. We really could. We could pivot and then, you know, we fix it in next week's candle, which starts in 3 hours, and, you know, move back up. But we have to see it. We have to see it before we're saying that it happened, you know. It actually has to happen before you can get bullish again, in my opinion. I think price on Bitcoin has fallen enough to be bearish. I think it's reasonable to be bearish right now. It's not irrational or like, you know, I think it's reasonable. But just like, you know, getting below the 50 over here convincingly with like weekly candle closes down below the 50, that's kind of a big deal. It's not nothing. It's not something to just ignore and pass off as, you know, like, oh yeah, we dip through it all the time on a bull market. It's a pretty significant situation when you're closing this far below it. But anyway, we'll see. Because remember what I was saying earlier is a deeper line in the sand is this yellow line. This is like I think this would be a pretty big deal for a lot of people, to be able to hold this, to maintain this level of structure on the macro picture, because as you can see, this yellow line, if I just extend it over this way, it's a zone. I would call this a zone. It's like the old all-time high as a buffer coupled up with the high from 2024, and then also the support from earlier this year. So this whole mattress of price action, or sorry, this whole mattress of a level is pretty... There's a lot of big pivots that have happened off this level is what I'm trying to say. So if price even gets down that low, this is 74,000. We'll just call it the 70k or 74k line, right? That's the last line of like serious defense for the bull market, I think, or for the bulls, to say that we can recover this correction that that is happening right now. We're in a correction. There's no question about that. So the weekly, I would argue from a structural point of view, the weekly is still bullish. It is not a weekly chart loss of structure to the downside, you know what I mean? So I don't want to like mislead anyone that's still in longs or anything like that. Like, I still think there's a chance for sure, but to turn the market back on to price discovery, it's a big challenge that's in front of Bitcoin. So I'll be on board with that when I see it. Like when I see Bitcoin get back through these moving averages on the, like, even just the daily, it needs to hammer it home and show everyone what it's made of if it's gonna come back up through the daily 200. Thank you, T Black, $4 super sticker. The coffee, that is exactly what I'm doing right now. I'm drinking coffee. Appreciate the support, T Black. Thanks, man. You're a legend. We got 12 people tuned in. That's pretty good for a weekend. Like a Sunday evening. What other things can we look at? What else matters in a macro picture to help, you know, understand where we're at? Just gonna delete these lines. I'm gonna go to a different chart. I think I'll go to the Bitcoin USD index chart with the full history. Definitely gonna check that out. All right. Use this screen. There's a little bit of layout that I did. I know this would be the third stream in a row if I was to bring this up, but I'll do it just very briefly, like 1 minute. And that is all the spacings of the all-time highs, the bear market lows. I'm gonna blink through these real quick. Okay, high to high, bull market high to bull market high, all-time high to all-time high. Roughly 1,400 and whatever. 1,477. 1,428 is completely, at least on, like when you put on the weekly chart, that's what it's saying. Daily chart's a bit different actually. It's 1,426 so far and 1,424, so 2 days longer if, and this is hypothetically, this is provided that the top's in. We don't know for sure yet, we're still speculating on it. And then the previous one was longer, 1,479, but yeah, it is in the realm of matching up with the distance between highs. Some people dismiss that and say it's just coincidence, it's like nothing to pay attention to, don't worry about it, don't stress about it. I don't know, it depends. I don't know, it's what you think, whatever you think. But then the lows, I think there's even more similarity, or more, you know, measurements from low to low have been, I mean, this is a projection, of course. We don't have the 2026 low in yet, nor have we confirmed the all-time high. That's why it's still a question mark down here for me. ATH with a question mark. This would be a projection to see where that might land if it fell somewhere similar to the past in time span. See, look, 1,431 versus 1,437. That's pretty close. When you're talking about a span of 4 years, that's pretty precise. So it's not just the all-time highs that are similar, it's also the low to lows. And then you've got high to low comparisons. So this is the length of the bear markets. 411 days back here. 363, so just shy of a year from this bear market, the 2018 bear market. And then the previous bear, the 2022 bear, was 376 days, so it was longer than a year, slightly. But you can see that it's within 20 days, within 15 days, I think. So not bad. That's pretty, things are getting pretty, scheduled, I suppose, but calendar similarities. All right, last one, low to high. So this is the bear market low. This is the length of the bull market, essentially. So the other one was the bear. This is the length of the bull. 1,068 days. 1,061 days. And then 1,050 is the current, assuming the top's in. That's currently where the high is for this bull market. So yeah, do with that information as you will, or what you will. You know, some people might just choose to go, oh, that's interesting. But then there are some like fundamental things that are happening around the world as well that people are kind of staying optimistic and ambitious for, and that is, I believe there's something to do with Japan. Japan's like printing a bunch of money. Something's happening with Japan. I'm not very studied on this. I'm not prepared for talking about this, as you can tell. But a liquidity injection from Japan is supposed to produce like a positive headwind. I think a bigger impact would be the Fed. If we cut interest rates dramatically back down, and we get, you know, if we get CPI moving down as well, close to 2%, that's also very bullish, and that would actually give this downtrend, or even if this does become the bear market, right? I think those optimistic headwinds could turn this around sooner, and we actually get a shorter bear market. Static with the $2 super chat, thanks, bro. Appreciate it. But yeah, this, I heard Static, by the way, was talking about this idea, this theory of a shorter bear market, like something that gets wrapped up by May next year or something like that. Namely because of the Fed. And the Fed, what's the big thing that the Fed do? The interest rates, so the Fed funds rate, and also the quantitative easing and quantitative tightening, QE and QT. Now the Fed have already stated that they're going to start QE in a few days now, I think, like early December. So we're in the final week of November right now. So we'll see what happens there. I think on the economic calendar, let me just open this website here. So there's nothing to, I mean, there's PPI, GDP, another unemployment claims and retail sales. Yeah, there's a couple of bits and pieces for the rest of this month, and PCE as well. But next month, what I was getting at was the Fed, the federal funds rate. So they're going to hold a conference before the CPI comes out, I believe. CPI comes out all the way down here on the 18th of next month. So that's a whole week after the funds rate is decided upon. So that'll be interesting to see. Some months you get CPI before the funds rate, which I don't know, maybe that has an impact on their final rate decision. But yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to mainly come on here and just sort of set out what my expectations would be, or what my standards would be, what standard I hold to Bitcoin to say that it's bullish again and that the bull market has happened. You can speculate whether it's going to happen or not, but you'd need to see price reclaim the 200 daily simple moving average, in my opinion, because there is a risk, which has happened in the past, of a kiss of death. So a KOD. And that is like a nail in the coffin for the cycle if that happens. Just like over here. Let me just hide the 50 for a second. There was a kiss of death here. This is what is like, you know, Bitcoin has to prove it. It has to eliminate that as a threat if it's going to keep the market. Look, there's a kiss of death over here. So I would argue, see how this one, it does actually quite violently get below the 200, but then you get above it. And that would have, you know, if you're looking at the 200, it's like, that's kind of exciting, but it lost it. It's still a lower high, right? It's still a lower high. And also the velocity that Bitcoin fell through that, like how high it was, look how elevated and deviated away from the 200 Bitcoin was back in 2017. That is, now that's parabolic. That's the bull market that everyone wants to see, right? That's the big euphoric bull market where you're hyper extended above the 200. Same, it happened in 2021 as well. You got very tall above the 200. Did we do that this bull market? Yeah, there was some couple of moments of it. It seemed like every time the party got started, it got tamed. Started? Nah, tamed. it just never got that chance to go like full stupid parabolic, you know. It got capped off before it got too outrageous. So in a way, it's almost like we had like 3 bull runs in this bull market, arguably 4, like this one over here too. But yeah, it's been more of a staircase bull market compared to the previous 2 bulls that we've seen. And then, you know, that not to mention the, you know, obviously the other bull markets. Maybe this one is more similar here. What was happening back in 2012, you had a really excited growth and then a stabilization. Really hype growth, stabilization, hype, and then stabilization. And then check out this. Look at that kiss of death right there. Got below it convincingly, could not reclaim it, fought with it repeatedly, and then, yeah, found out the lows eventually. But, you know, you got to have a line in the sand. You have to have, what are your defining features of the chart? Like, where's your head at, basically? But yeah, this is a big one. The 200 moving average. That can be basically, because everyone's got their own definition of a bull and a bear market, right? It's kind of vague. It's kind of just like it's almost like a colloquial term, bull and bear, right? But we're obsessed, or at least I seem to be, about saying bull or bear, right? Everyone wants to know. It's like the retail buzzword, but yeah, I mean, look what turned the market back on over here. See that? Look how decisive that was. Huge eruption through the 200. Now, this is what, like, from this perspective, talking about 200, this is what you would call a fresh bull market, because it's turned on for the first time in a period of time, like a decent amount of time. This is 12 months, let's say, roughly. So this is when the bull market's fresh, is when it first crosses after such a huge drought of price or decline. Now, 3 years later, down the track, it's getting pretty stale, I would say, this bull market. You know, can we just keep expecting it to dip and rip, and then dip and rip and start and just keep reclaiming the 200 indefinitely, like up only bull market? I mean, sounds good for the bulls, but I don't know, like the past behavior, it's not always a perfect indication, but it shows you what's possible and how Bitcoin tends to behave, right? So yeah, losing the 200, not a good thing. It's not a bullish event to lose the 200. So yeah, we really, fingers crossed. We'll see what happens. Maybe we get the V shape. Maybe we get another one of these big V's, these big, incredible, you know, recoveries and go into the sky. But we'll see what happens. I think there's some like bullish articles that I've seen, or theories, or whether they're rumors or just what it is, but they were saying like that Trump was gonna print all this money or stimulate the economy with trillions of dollars. I don't know about that. I'm not sure, but I think that, yeah, there was another massive YouTube channel that made a video about it yesterday. And yeah, after watching that, I'm like, damn, well, seeing is believing. I don't know about that. Let me just find it. I'll show you which one I'm talking about. Okay. Something along the lines of this. So this guy, Mark Davis. This is insane. Trump's insane $20 trillion plan to pump Bitcoin. What a title. Like, now that is some hopium right there. If it's true, how incredible. $20 trillion plan to pump Bitcoin. Now, is that tomorrow? Like, is that this week? Is that this year? Or is this for the next 4 years? Like, yeah, it's a bit vague, but God, it makes for a good clickbait. Anyway, let me just read through these comments here. FOMO Baggins, thank you, I like it. Look for a strong close this week. Yeah. Strong close? Like a strong weekly candle close? Yes. I agree. You'd need a strong close to reclaim this 50 weekly EMA or SMA rather. EMA or SMA, they're both saying similar things at the moment, I think. Yep. See? There's EMA. There's SMA. Bitcoin's weekly candles have been below it and are still below it right now, so let's see if anything becomes of that. My head is at I'm scared of making money. Luckily, I'm still 300% up. Just need to make calm decisions. Yeah, man, I think if you're a really super long-term investor into Bitcoin, none of this matters. None of this pullback or even the threat of a bear market. It's nothing. Like, what? It's just another opportunity to add more to your pile, right? That's been the game, at least in the past. But look, if I go back to logarithmic, like, high valuations are great, but if you're trying to get from, let's say you bought in over here, if you're trying to get from here to like $1 million into the future, which I do think Bitcoin will get there one day. I think we're going to get to $1 million one day, right? But if you're going to get there from over here, you need to hold through bull, bear, bull, bear, bull, bear, bull, potential bear, right? You need to hold through all that. And you need to like not let the threat of a pullback for 12 months shake you from your goal of getting from A to B, right? So that's a super macro approach. That's more of like a long-term investment, you know, Michael Saylor type thing. These are just opportunities to add more. These pullbacks, these bear markets that everyone's so scared about. It's nothing to be scared of. It's just a market cycle. It's just a rhythm. It's like a, you know, just like an uptrend has a pullback, you know? Every pullback is not to be feared. It's just, this is where you get in safely, right? It's just a safe entry into the market. If that's your goal, is to get in, right? If you want to get long on Bitcoin, I think everyone and their mother wants to get long on Bitcoin. Like, you're kind of frustrating to miss out yet again on Bitcoin if we continually get bull markets every 4 years, you know. Anyway, I am still in love with Bitcoin. There's nothing wrong with Bitcoin. A bear market is a temporary thing. It's actually more temporary than a bull market. Bull markets take 3 years to mature, historically. 3 years to go up from the bottom, and 12 months to pull back. You only get 1 year of pullback. It's not that long of a wait. It's really not that bad. And depending what the economy does, like what the global economy does, it's yet to be seen how severe the pullback's gonna be. I would argue that probably even not that bad. I don't think it's gonna go that deep because of how stunted and seemingly muted the performance was in this bull market. You know, I feel like to crash hard, you need to rip hard first, you know? Like, if you take a parabola, that's the potential for a nasty correction off that is high. But if you staircase up, like over time, the bear market of that has a chance of, you know, just leveling out and gently coming down, but not dumping like straight down, like with a parabolic move. Just my sort of 2 cents on that. But yeah, I feel like velocity matters, you know. with how rapid things can happen. Like this is a good example how rapid that happened. That pullback was pretty scary initially. Or even you could argue this pretty steep correction. Anyway, kind of drifting and rambling now. I think I'll wrap it up. What's it been? 35 minutes. Yeah, that's plenty of time. Um, thanks again, guys, for tuning in. It was only ever meant to be a short one. And streams in the future, I think I can pretty much cover what I intend to speak about inside of even 20 minutes, to be honest. But yeah, thanks again for tuning in, and I will catch you on the next one, especially if something violent and exciting happens that is outside of expectations. All right, have a good day.